Hey guys, it's Randa, and as you can see, Nina is not here with me. I'm coming at ya with another Just Randa video. Nina and I did some of these videos in the past, and sometimes it's fun to kind of mix it up. Sometimes we have different topics we want to talk about, different things we're learning, and it's easier to do separate videos than to do a video with each other. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite things to learn and probably talk about, and that is mental health. I will preface this video saying I am not a doctor, I am not a counselor, I am not any of those things. I'm just a regular girl who likes to talk about mental health, educate other people, learn it for myself, help you guys. I just want this to be a safe place, and if the main takeaway is that you can go and talk to someone in person, then yeah, do that. Before I start this video, I also want to say that I have never been clinically depressed. Yes, I have felt depressed, and maybe because I know some people get offended if I use the word depressed, or there's like a confusion. I feel like there's this stigma. Some people say we need to talk about mental health more, we need to bring that online, people don't talk about it enough. And then when you do talk about it, it's like, well, you're not actually depressed, so you shouldn't be teaching people, or I don't know. So I'm just trying to be very careful. I don't want to offend anyone. Maybe instead of using the word depressed, I will say pit of despair, sadness, because I have for sure felt that, anxiety, and all that stuff. But at the moment, life is pretty good, just saying. So I do have some notes here in my phone in here. You know, it's not raining men, but it's raining essays. So what is depression? According to psychiatric.org, it reads, depression is a common and serious medical illness and negatively affects how you feel, the way you think, and how you act. Fortunately, it is also treatable. Depression causes feelings of sadness and or loss of interest in activities once enjoyed. It can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems. It can decrease a person's ability to function at home and at work. So I read that and I think to myself, I've definitely felt like that at times. Okay, and what is the definition of anxiety? Anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. So it's like depression is something that you feel maybe because of a past event, and anxiety is kind of a similar feeling, but you're worrying about something that's in the future. I definitely feel like I'm more of an anxious person, worrying about stuff that could happen in the future, but when I'm not stressed, I feel like my I don't really have anxiety, so it's kind of weird. What inspired this video was I listened to a podcast called Beat Your Genes, and the episode was called Finding the Source of Depression, and basically in the episode, Dr. Doug Lau walks the caller on the podcast through why she's depressed. So she couldn't figure out why she was depressed. She was having these feelings of depression, but she didn't necessarily know what she was sad about or feeling depressed about. The episode was really interesting to listen to because he kind of breaks it down into three main categories that show why somebody is depressed, and I'm going to be talking about those today. And I'm going to also link the podcast in the description because, yeah, it's really worth listening to, but I'm going to try and teach you guys as well. These three reasons kind of encompass everybody's life, and I feel like it's really important for all of us to look at it, whether you're depressed or not. It's good to check in on your mental health and yeah, ask yourself how you're doing. The first thing to look at if you're feeling depressed, or just to check in on yourself, is your financial situation. I feel like there's a big pressure on our generation in general, especially with college debt, and people may not consciously realize that that is making them sad. If you're not making enough money to support yourself, obviously that's going to cause a big stress in your life and can lead to feelings of being depressed. And if you're not enjoying your job, you're not really enjoying your life, so that's a big reason. And in the episode, the girl specifically was an artist, and she wasn't making a ton of money, but that wasn't really a big deal to her because she was like living in a van, but she made enough money to get by. Some people don't need a ton of money, obviously, to be happy. You obviously need enough. I would say first look at where you're doing at financially to check in on your mental health. The second big thing to look at in your life is your community, your family, and your friendships. When you're feeling sad, or when you're going through a breakup, or just struggles in life, you want to isolate yourself because you're feeling bad. And that's like one of the worst things you could possibly do. And I feel like because everybody's on social media so much, everybody's online, we spend time in our cars driving to work, unless you work at home, or maybe you work from home and you're not around a ton of people. We're not as social as we once were back in the wild. And community is obviously a big part of our happiness, just being a healthy human. It's part of our survival. The way our society is kind of set up now can produce a lot of loneliness, and that is a big thing that can cause depression. And then when you're feeling lonely and when you're isolating yourself, you're not getting enough social skills, you want to go online, you want to search for that connection. But that's actually perpetuating the problem. Yeah, it's distracting you. The social media is distracting you from your sadness, from your loneliness, but you're actually making it worse. It's so easy to just go on Instagram or browse your phone and feel like, oh, I'm like keeping up to date with my friends, and it does foster this sense of connectedness, but it's not real. Well, it is real because they're really your friends, but you're not really getting that person-to-person contact. So I feel like watch out for that. The third thing to check in on your mental health is your love life. And I mean this if you're in a relationship or you're not in a relationship. The girl in the podcast episode, her financial situation was fine, her friendship situation was fine, she had enough friends, she wasn't worried about that. But then when she started talking about her love life, she was with this guy, but he wasn't really paying that much attention to her. When Dr. Lyle was asking her more questions, it turns out she was insecure about her weight. And I guess in her mind felt like it was affecting her relationship with her romantic partner. She felt like he wasn't as interested as he should be, even though they were together, but he just, wasn't really paying that much attention to her. Like, even if you're in a relationship and you're not fully emotionally satisfied, those can lead to feelings of feeling depressed or feeling anxious about the future. His advice to her was a way for her to lose weight because she was over the healthy BMI. Yeah, I just feel like it's important to ask yourself if the relationship you're in is bringing you happiness, because that could be a source that's making you sad, even if you're not really aware of it. Are you seeing somebody who you feel is into you but is not totally committing to you? Is that making you sad? Or did you get rejected or feel lost from someone? Like, that's another reason you could be feeling just in a pit of sadness. Sometimes when I'm feeling anxious and I don't necessarily know what I'm anxious about, me and Nina will literally go for a walk and I'll be like, hey Nina, can you help me figure out what I'm anxious about? Or I'm just feeling anxious but I'm not really sure. And then it really does help to sort of just talk to somebody. And if you don't have a sister, you don't have a best friend, talk to your mom. Or if you don't want to talk to your mom, don't be afraid to talk to a counselor or even a psychologist, because by not talking about it, by not addressing your anxiety or your feelings of sadness, it just kind of sits in your brain. Whereas if you just get it out, figure out what you're feeling, you can actually do something about it. Especially when all three of those things are shut down, like your financial situation, your community/friendships are shut down if you're not hanging out with your friends enough, or if your love life isn't going how you want it to. Maybe you got rejected, or maybe you're in a relationship and it's just not emotionally satisfying, you're not fully connecting. When all three of those things are shut down, that is when you can become really depressed. I can relate to that. When I had really severe cystic acne, before I was doing commercials, but when I had acne, number one, I couldn't work, I couldn't make money. Number two, I didn't want to go out and see my friends because I felt so embarrassed. I felt all this shame and didn't want people to see me. And number three, I didn't want to go on dates. I was too embarrassed. I felt like nobody would like me for this acne. I wish I didn't have that shame when I had acne, but I couldn't help it. So if you're feeling like that, I totally understand the feeling, and I think talk to somebody about it. If that's the main takeaway you can get from this video, is talk about your feelings. There are tools and people to help you feel better. Currently, all three of these things in my life are really good, and so I'm really content. But yeah, I have dealt with those feelings in the past, and I hope that this advice so far can help you. Something that was also interesting in this podcast is when Dr. Lyle was talking to her and he would ask, walk me through your financial situation. And she would kind of say, oh yeah, it's fine or whatever. Walk me through your friendships. Like, what's going on with that? She's like, yeah, like I hang out with my friends, like it's cool. And then when she started talking about her relationship, she started crying. In the past, when I felt super anxious and I'm like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I don't know what's going on. And I sit and talk with my mom and she'll go like, well, is it this? Like, do you think it's this going on in your life? Like, do you think it's YouTube? Do you think it's your boyfriend? Or do you think it's this? And then when she nails it on the head and I start crying, I'm like, now I know, And that's why talking it out is so important, guys. Please talk it out. Another thing I wanted to quickly talk about in this video is the role of social media and depression, or feelings of sadness, not liking yourself, low self-esteem, all that stuff. And that is that people leave hate comments. The internet opens up a world for somebody to be anonymous, and some people literally you know, they wouldn't necessarily say this to your face, but they have no problem leaving a comment on YouTube or Instagram. Like, sometimes when I see hate comments, I'm like, oh, like, I don't even want to make a video. And I read an article where Taylor Swift actually turns off her comments. She said people would just comment mean things all the time. It was like giving her anxiety. I mean, she's obviously super famous, but yeah, hate comments and just mean comments in general affect your mental health. So I feel like that's something to talk about. I was reading that they did an MRI scan of a bunch of different students for a study. Basically, in the study, they found that when we're using social media, when we gain likes and stuff like that, the reward center of our brain, the same part of our brain that lights up when we see a photo of a loved one or when we win money, lights up when we get likes and comments and stuff like that. So it's literally addicting. It's literally changing our brain. And I do feel like there's this constant, we need to keep up with everybody on social media, and that can create some anxiety. When you're already feeling sad about your life for whatever is going on, and you're looking at these perfected images, or you're looking at somebody else's highlight reel and you're thinking to yourself, oh, like my life is so boring and their life is so great, and it kind of just perpetuates feeling sad. And it's important to know that it's literally addictive. So I'm just saying, be careful of your time spent on social media. For me, I personally will mute a lot of people and literally just look at cats because I just find it makes me feel better. So maybe you want to try that. Obviously, make sure you're getting enough sleep, make sure you're exercising, make sure you're hanging out with your friends, and also talk about your feelings. Check in on yourself. Make sure you are in a good place. Check in on your friends. Ask them how they're doing. And remember those 3 different things of your financial situation, your community, aka your friendships, hanging out with friends, and 3, your love life. And look at those aspects of your life and really check in on yourself to see how you're doing. And if you're having a down day, don't beat yourself up about it. We all deal with down days. There's this book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F***, and it basically says, F*** this positivity thing, you know, there's gonna be down days, and that's okay. It's gonna get better. If you are feeling sad right now, you don't need to expect your life to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Again, if you're dealing with some mental health struggles, I really suggest you talk to somebody about it. Get the right help. Yeah, I really hope that this video helped you in some sort of way. Maybe the things I'm saying are kind of obvious, but I feel like when you point it out in just those 3 simple ways, it makes it a lot easier to check in on yourself. So if you guys enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you guys have any suggestions that help you with your mental health, please comment below. Let's make this a safe place. Let's make this a happy place. I hope this helped you guys in some way, shape, or form. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And that's about it. Bye.